Alrighty, without further ado, let me please welcome and give a warm welcome to David Schatzman and Sean Asfeld.
Thank you, John. We appreciate it. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. Okay, cool. So for how many of you is this your first reInvent? Welcome. You having a good time so far? Learning a lot? Excellent. This is a conference for builders and for learners, and we're so thankful that you came today to our session. We have a lot to cover in just a short amount of time. So I think we have 15 minutes. This is a lightning talk, so we're going to go really fast through a bunch of really exciting content. If you have questions, Sean and I will be down front afterward. We can just stand outside and answer your questions. So without further ado, just three things today. We're going to be talking about security and operational excellence in regulated clouds. We're going to be talking about customer obsession, and we're going to talk about how these things come together to help you transform your mission, your vision using AI. So without further ado, the first thing I always like to start off with, Sean and I have been doing this a long time, is to make sure it's front and center of your mind that security is the most important thing that we do here at AWS. Protecting your data, protecting your customers' data, protecting your reputation is the most important thing that we do. So as we go through this brief set of content, think in the back of your mind, AWS is here to secure your data and to secure your customers' data. There we go. So let's ask ourselves a question. Why do customers use AWS for AI and for innovation? So Sean, talk me through it.
I mean, it's really our global scale. It's being able to deploy the resources you need where you need them. I mean, we've got 38 regions, 4 government regions. We've got a lot of AI infrastructure. We've got cross-region inferencing availability. We've got security behind all of that. I mean, it really comes down to offering in the cloud the services, the features, the software, the technology where you need it, and at the compliance and security levels that you need it at.
That's sure. And when we think about security and compliance, we think we're going to talk in the context of the United States, but just know we do have a global reach as far as security and compliance goes. So let's dig into it. So AWS, of course, was founded in 2006. And interestingly enough, when we began to offer cloud on a global basis, we didn't see a lot of adoption within public sector, specifically within the United States federal government. And we started to ask ourselves, well, why can't we help the United States federal government, state and local governments, and the broader public sector market transform their mission? And so at the time, Jeff Bezos, who's now our founder and executive chair, we all sat down and we thought about that. Well, what do we need to do to be able to advance the mission of government? And that led to the birth of our public sector business, but it also led to the introduction of a brand new set of regions and capabilities in 2011 that over time, as Sean has mentioned, has grown into a portfolio of multiple partitions, multiple security enclaves, and an investment that we're proud to say has been able to help transform government. Now, let's fast forward to today. What's going on in the market today? Well, for me and for my colleague Sean here, we see a great convergence going on. And you started to see a lot about that even yesterday morning when Matt began talking about AI factories and so forth. But I would believe that within public sector, and I'll suggest to you today, that there's 4 things converging that's going to allow your agencies, your industrial-based customer, whatever market you're in, to transform impact. And that's the convergence of cloud computing, as we've noted since 2006. It's also, and this is an interesting shift, deployment options is becoming more and more interesting to our customers. And so when Matt yesterday morning announced AI factories, that further extends our agile deployment option. If you'd like to know more about AI factories, you can visit our website, or we'll be down front later. But customers want not only the region-based capabilities, but they also want capabilities extended closer to them. And so, of course, AI factories is one option, but within our edge computing portfolio, of course, we have the AWS Outpost in a rack format, a 1 rack and a 2 rack unit form factor. We also have our content delivery delivery network. So those agile deployment options are becoming more and more popular. So as you look to deliver capabilities to your constituencies, think not only about cloud as an infrastructure and capacity option, but think about how you deploy it in a customer-obsessed manner to deliver the most value to your customers. Now,
and I also want to add on the agility of being able to deploy that. When you have things like Outposts, you can still use that same CloudFormation, that infrastructure as code, to then deploy closer to where you are. And so that is a part of the agility that you really get with some of that cloud infrastructure and at edge. So
yeah, 150%. Now, while capacity is a wonderful thing, and we all need it, right? Capacity needs services, right? A value proposition on top of it. And so when we start thinking about, well, what services are most relative to our customers to start thinking about solutions, well, obviously here at AWS, we value generative AI. We think it has a transformative impact on just about every area of business, public sector or not. So, I would suggest to you that generative AI is another cornerstone of your execution strategy. And so, of course, managed services, SageMaker and Bedrock are two wonderful AI services I would strongly suggest you take advantage of. But then even if we start looking at other services, code development, the ability to transform legacy code into modern, innovative solutions, these things are even more important now than they have ever been before. Now, let me set you up for the next slide by suggesting to you that high-performance computing as a capability is becoming more and more important. And I know a lot of folks, when you think about high-performance computing, you might think about drug discovery, or maybe in the scientific community, looking at the cosmos and stars and so forth and plotting distances. But high-performance computing has a much broader impact. And so what I start to see in public sector a lot over the last year is more and more interest in high-performance computing solutions for small commodity class workloads, all the way up to those exascale workloads that you see sensationalized, for example, in the Department of Energy. You might have seen about that. But what I'm saying to you today, and what I'd like you to take away from this, one of the things I'd like you to take away from this, is these four factors on this slide right here are coming together, and they will, if integrated properly by you, will be able to transform the value of your mission and deliver additional business impact that you might not realize by looking at these elements in a container on themselves. So let me say something. It's really exciting because I led up to you with high performance computing and generative AI. So let me put this up for you. How many of you saw the About Amazon post a week ago Monday that talked about a major investment in public sector? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 10 or 15. Well, let me tell you, let me give you a little bit of information about this. So when this time last year, we started thinking about how can we really help the United States federal government transform and execute on citizen services and on mission and to modernize and to be relevant. So we started thinking about, well, how could we do that? And
well, we were also listening to the feedback we were getting directly from the customers, right? We were working backwards
100%.
from the customer, not just us leading in and
100%.
coming in.
Yeah, customer obsession, Sean. That's a really good point. Well, when the turn of the administration happened early this year, and of course there was an executive order, as the slide will suggest in a second here, about AI leadership, global AI leadership, and being able to integrate technologies into the federal government using AI, again, to transform mission impact. So we made the decision and announced it in November last year, as the slide suggests, a huge investment in the federal, state, and local governments, as well as the supporting industrial base. A 10-year investment, $50 billion, to help transform the federal, state, and local governments. Well, what does that look like? Well, let's look at it from a couple of different points of view. It's about a 1.3 gigawatt investment. So what does 1.3 gigawatts mean, right? That's a pretty nebulous number. Well, of course, we measure GPU consumption and CPU consumption in the context of power, right, with Moore's Law, which we can talk about later. 1.3 gigawatts is a little less than the Hoover Dam, which produces about 2 gigawatts of power. And just to say something kind of anecdotal and funny to make it real for you, does anyone remember Back to the Future, the Doc's DeLorean? It was 1.2 1 gigawatt. So we're investing about 1.3 gigawatts in the federal government over 10 years. So what does that look like? How can you access it? What does it do? Well, a couple of things. One, we've heard loud and clear from our customers that they are investing heavily in generative AI. And so going back to that previous slide, generative AI in the bottom left corner, if you remember, is a wonderful set of services and tools that have transformative impact, but what do they need to operate? They need capacity, right? GPU, CPU,
Massive
storage,
amounts
memory.
of capacity.
Yes. And so the 1.3 gigawatts of capacity in the form of CPUs and GPUs will enable the use of our services. And also customers can just purchase raw GPU capacity for their own model training. The other thing that's interesting about this, and I'll cue you in on the second line here, supercomputing. We will be offering supercomputing capabilities as well, HPC, at a broader scale. So we believe that this investment that we're making will be transformative for the government, and it'll also help you as members of whether you're scientific or manufacturing, whatever business line you're in, it will help you deliver value to the government as well. Now, how will this be operationalized, you might ask? Well, it'll be available in the console. Starting in 2026, we'll be building this out. And whether you're a commercial customer or a GovCloud customer, it will be available in your console as additional capacity and services that you can take advantage of. So Sean, let's talk a little bit about, well, all right, so where are we going to put this capacity, and how is it relevant when you think about it through the lens of compliance?
So we are going to land this capacity across all 4 of our US regions. What you don't see on here that we offer outside of the US, since Dave and I are primarily focused in the US, is European sovereign cloud and other things, but this is primarily for the US, so we have commercial, we have our GovCloud US, we have our top secret regions, right? And everything, the 3 boxes on the right are all US citizen operations. So for those requirements, for those compliance requirements, FedRAMP High, Department of Defense, Impact Level 4 and 5, IL6, top secret, right? We have all of the regions, and we will have the resources available for the workloads that the government needs, while we also have our commercial for our state and local governments and the other types of agencies that don't require that, right? We are making this available across all of our partitions. So that really, represents a large investment across all of these. We will not be adding any additional regions or anything like that. These will go into the current regions and availability zones that we have, extending those and making the capabilities even greater. And when I think about security, right, I think about like the services that we offer, right, because we already maintain all the data center certifications and accreditations that we need, and we offer you the tools and the services and the features that you need to meet your compliance requirements or the government's compliance requirements. So.
For sure. So when you think about the AWS Government Regions portfolio and how you may be able to use it, think about the different compliance programs that you might need in order to perform on your contract, or if you're within a government agency in order to consume it. Now, let me use the last 6 minutes of our time here. I want to give you some insights based upon actual conversations with customers at scale. So maybe we can provide you with some value when you think about how you're going to go to market to deliver your solutions. So this is our regulated industry's AI innovation flywheel. It aligns very closely with what I believe are the policy priorities of the United States. And while we show these, if you look to the right of your screen here, we show it as a circular wheel. It's really an interconnected mosaic. And so with you, if you take all of these different factors, bring them together into a market strategy or into a solution for a government customer, you will realize business value. And so we won't, in the time that we have, we're not going to go through all of these in detail, but we'd like to highlight for you some of the most impactful statements that customers have made to us to help you as you move forward. So the first one, Sean, I think we need to talk about, and it ties back to the first slide that I raised, was security. Sean, talk about the components of security.
Well, I mean, obviously security, our top priority. It's the top of the flywheel. But with the security and the options that we offer, right now, when you're able to earn trust with your customers, we're able to earn trust with you as our customers. You go the other way, you are able to have that rapid pace of innovation, knowing that a lot of our services come with those security features built in, or we give you all of the options that you need to build those compliantly. But a lot of that starts with data, right? So, if you have to have good, clean, labeled data to really do AI innovation. And so that's why we have all of the, the S3s and the services and the data storage that we have with all of the compliance that you need in the appropriate regions.
Can I make a comment on data? Because before you go on, you said something that really caught my attention. Data strategy, clean, structured, and organized data. That is the key to success using generative AI. If your data is not clean, and if it's not structured, and it is not organized, and you try to run inference against it, the expression garbage in, garbage out comes to mind, right? So what the advice that Sean just gave you, very important to implement an AI solution. Your output is only as good as your input. So Sean, go on. I'm interested, I want to hear more about responsible AI in the time that we have here.
So responsible AI is a whole lot of things together, right? We have executive orders that kind of tell us a little bit about what responsible AI is. But you missed, Dave and I did a Chalk Talk on Bedrock guardrails, right? But we talk about, allowing the security to wrap around your AI, putting roadblocks, guardrails, things in place to make sure that you don't have prompt attacks and bad actors and things like that, misusing systems, that you're able to show compliantly, that you're able to meet these regulatory compliance, right? A lot of compliance is not just technical controls, but how do you show those controls? How do you have the talent in place? So how are you meeting those controls? And so with that and data residency and sovereignty and capacity kind of together, that becomes responsible AI, because it's not just a thing on its own. As a part of this flywheel, it's innovation, it's pace, it's all of those things wrapped together.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let me give you, I have a couple of closing thoughts for you here. Again, this is all based on customer feedback. Folks just like yourself and the people that Sean and I work with. Well, how do I be successful? How can I be successful interacting with the federal, state, and local government, even if I'm working for an agency or part of the industrial base? Well, the most important thing that you can do is to understand your customer, your end customer's requirements, and working backward from them. And so the first thing I would suggest to you is figure out what compliance programs are important to your customers, whether it be FedRAMP, whether it be something with ITAR or the DoD Security Requirements Guide. Figure out what that is, figure out how to achieve it, and how to deliver just incremental value to that, right? So lead with compliance. And then secondly, you want to make sure, with AI specifically, that you have a secure and responsible AI framework. And that's one that protects your reputation, protects your customers' information, for example, social security numbers, other personally identifiable information.
Correct.
Very important. And I encourage you, if you want, come down after, we'll give you the information on responsible AI and where to get that content. Very, very, very important. It's also in the age of efficiency, cost efficiency. We can help you and you can help yourself. Architect for the most efficient solution, right? Use managed services where you can. But if you need to pay for instance hours, sure, pay for instance hours, but work with us to figure out how you can be most efficient. That is very, very, very important.
Yep.
The other thing, and this goes back to risk management, number 5 here, is in any effort that you're engaged in, don't start out by wanting to deliver this major deliverable, a complete solution that does everything, that's well thought out, best intentions. And for those of you that are former military, thank you for your service, by the way, you know that no plan survives first contact. So how do we work around that? Well, we do incremental delivery. We do proofs of concept. We do proofs of value to show your employees, your constituents, your customers, your stakeholders that it works.
And proof of value is very important, right?
You
can build the best AI tools, but if they don't have value, if they're not, they're not making up for their costs, then you need to start over and actually make sure you're solving a valid problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, number 5 is very important. And then the last thing I'll leave you with, of course, is ask us. There's thousands of AWS employees here today. We are here to help you be successful. We're here today. We'll be down for an afterward if we can answer any questions for you. And I'll leave you with this final thought here. This is a paper that Sean and I wrote for you in preparation for this. It summarizes a lot of the content that we spoke about today and gives you additional information. So definitely, if you can't take a QR code because you're with the federal government, you can just Google GovCloud, hit our homepage, and it's right there. Another thing I'll mention to you in the last 20 seconds that I have is that David Levy, who's our Vice President of Worldwide Public Sector, today at 4 p.m. is doing his innovation talk. You can use your phone to get the room number and sign up. It's also being live casted, so you can pick it up through the app, and then also it'll be on YouTube, just like this presentation will be about 2 weeks from now. David will be talking about the announcement that I just made based on the About Amazon post from last week, as well as a number of really exciting topics that I think would be impactful for anyone working together with us in the public sector market. So
I got it.
If you'd like to get in touch with us, let's see here. Oh, wait.
I got it.
Oh, you got me? Thanks, Sean. I wanted to put up our names.
Well, you got to do it. It's not working.
Hold on here. Let me get you the names. But anyway, I'll try to do this in the amount of time that we have here. Let's see. There it is.
There
okay. Yeah, this is how you get in
you.
touch with us. Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful reInvent, and we hope to see you at the reInvent Watch Party rewatch on Thursday night. Thank you very much.
Thank you.